Hello everyone, welcome to Success Talk with CMAA. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at aspects of business. We will be starting with business startup. With me in the studio today is Tuli Mashaba and Blessed. Welcome Tuli, welcome Blessed.
Thank you, CMAA.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
Before we proceed, I would like you to give us a bit insight on what your business is all about.
Okay, Satwex Communications, we specialize in electrical and electronic and security systems. You know, we are like a hub of all electronic services. We're talking of things like your CCTV, you know, your DSTV, you know, access control systems. We even do electrical fencing and, you know, those boom gates and all. So we are a company that caters from a homestead until a big corporate or a residential place. We also do installations for DSTV, and recently we ventured into fiber optics, you know, as part of internet connectivity. So yeah, we can serve a small household. We can also maintain a 350 unit complex of flats.
And you, Tuli?
I own a company called Hula Ugude Projects. We specialize in civil engineering, construction, and general building. We also do mining and industrial supplies. And personally, I have a brand called the Tuli Mashaba brand, and I provide business coaching and also encourage aspiring entrepreneurs about personal issues and the lack of support sometimes, how to overcome some of the personal challenges or where you come from, there may not be resources. So because I'm from that environment, so I use my experiences, how to get out of that.
I'll start with you, Tuli. What is the first thing that comes in mind when you're looking at starting up a business?
I always say, start with your passion. What do you love the most? Secondly, I say make up your mind about success, because the reason I emphasize that, with a made-up mind, there's nothing that can stop you. Whenever you encounter obstacles, you are prepared for it somehow. You are driven, even in the absence of money, or if money delays, you know, but you stay there because you are passionate and your mind is made up.
Wow. And Blessed, what would you have to say about it?
Just to add on to what Tuli has said, every individual is unique. You need to identify that unique aspect about yourself that you can do to the best of your abilities. You can realize that if you are an author, for example, you can use that skill to start up a business, either for editing, magazines, books, etc. So identify that thing that you love to do the most.
So in a nutshell, we're saying that every good business should be born out of passion. Because if it's born out of passion, it will be driven by passion.
Precisely.
Okay. I would like to ask again, what are some of the regulations in South Africa governing business startups? What are some of the things that our viewers need to understand and know when thinking about starting up a business in South Africa?
For any business to be recognized, you need to show that you are serious. You know, you need to go through the company registration process through CIPC now, which was formerly known as CIPRO, where you submit all your directors' IDs, residential addresses, you know, bank information. You also need to be registered for tax with SARS if you really want to be considered a serious business person. And you realize that if you are dealing with government departments, for example, they normally ask for documents such as your broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Registration Certificate and the like. So you need to ensure that before you start formally, you do the paperwork right.
Yes. Tuli, I'm going to come back to you. I want to ask, how important is researching the industry of a set business before getting into it? What would you say to the audience? How is that very vital in the success of that set business?
I would say it's very important to know the industry that you're playing in. Also, going back to registration, each and every industry has some professional bodies. So for instance, in construction, we have CIDB. I think also in property development, there's NHBRC. If you're an engineer, you also need to be registered with the professional bodies. So make sure that you research your industry and find out what are the policies that you need to comply with and be registered accordingly.
Okay, so we're saying to our audience that in every specific industry in South Africa, we have bodies that govern such businesses, and there are certain requirements that we will need to be able to be fully recognizable and have the legal standings with such industries before we can go operational.
Yeah, that's correct. Maybe just to add on the importance of research, you need to know who is my target market. You don't want to get into a business that has gotten an influx of competitors. You need to research to say, okay, what are my chances? So that comes from doing a thorough research. That's why I also find doing research very, very, very key.
Okay, so now we're saying that research is quite important. So we need to emphasize to the audience that before you even think of going into any business, do your groundwork, do your research, search the industry, understand the market, know who your competition is, get all your relevant information, get your relevant documentation before you can get into it. We'll be right back after the break. In the African context, most entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs always complain of funding, finances. There are so many people out there who want to start businesses, but they don't have the finances to go about it. So in our local context of South Africa, what are the bodies that are available that can provide fundings for small businesses and also internationally?
The mindset that to succeed you need money is a wrong mindset. To succeed in business, you need a good idea. You need a good proposal in order to succeed. Because what I've learned is that funders are looking for reasons not to fund you. So what I've seen is that people just go out there and want to take. I want, can you give me? And that is a huge turnoff. So you must change the approach. Add value first, package your product well, and say and act as if it's about the funder or the partner, to say this is what I'm offering you, and let them see value and they'll volunteer working with you. And also it is so embarrassing to see so many aspiring entrepreneurs and established entrepreneurs going for funding all the time without the skill to handle funds, the discipline of managing funds. You need to have a proven record that you have the self-control to receive money and do what it was intended for. And that is the one thing that has given us, all of us actually, a bad name. For instance, around the Witbank area, I work with mines. Mines are all about production. So you find there's other entrepreneurs have gone there, gotten the business, but never delivered. And that in turn affects production.
Setting a wrong standard per se.
Precisely. So you need to be investor prepared. Work on your attitude. Teach yourself how to handle money. Exercise the self-control. Forget about the hype of flashy cars. Invest in your business first, and the rest of the stuff will come later.
So in a nutshell, we're saying that even before entrepreneurs can even think of going about getting funding, they must empower themselves for funding, meaning that they must have something tangible to present to the funders or the partners, something that sets their businesses apart from the others, that will encourage and prompt the financiers or the partners or the people they want to get into joint ventures with to be able to put funding down.
Yeah, you are correct. The departments that retain the budgets because they never received solid proposals. So I think there is need to educate upcoming entrepreneurs to say, this is what you really need to do. Have a solid business case, and then the money will come later. Even if you are to approach other established businesses, they can also be able to assist you as long as you present something that is solid.
We've enlisted a number of local bodies that are in South Africa that eventually provides funding for small businesses. Let's look at the international arena. Do you have some bodies internationally that would also provide funding for small businesses?
Obviously, but if you're concentrating on somebody that's growing, you need to prove yourself first in your home market before you venture into the continent or into the world. Obviously, there are banks that offer such kind of guarantees to say you want to go and invest in Kenya or somewhere. As long as you can convince them that you have a model that works or that has worked, and you can export it, yes, you will be able to unlock funding.
Just to add on what Blessed said, South Africa is such a very good government when it comes to policies. There are relationships that our government has formed with other countries. So you need to research that as well. There are so many advantages. I know also when you attend the business seminars that also our government organizes, especially the Department of Small Business Development, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, yes, they invite those people from their respective countries to table how South Africans can tap into that, how they can benefit from that relationship that the South African government would have established. It does wonders.
So in a nutshell, they provide a platform.
They provide a platform and you get first-hand information as to how to go about tapping into the market of that particular country, how can you get funding, and most of the things are quite free and subsidized, that type of an arrangement.
So clearly they're giving us an insight to what are the opportunities that are available in the other countries outside SA, and how can the SA small businesses tap into such opportunities.
True, yes, that's correct.
Okay, before we go on the ad break, I would just like to ask you one more question. How relevant is small businesses in the aspect of reducing unemployment in South Africa and in Africa as a whole?
You realize that the informal sector, which is like the small businesses kind of, are the biggest employer. Because, you know, not everyone can go into a bank or into a school or into a hospital. You know, it's the smaller companies that do cleaning, that do landscaping, that do gardening services, you know. And due to the nature of the services that we provide, it's not something that requires a university degree for you to be able to do like installation of an electric fence, for example. So it's an avenue that has the greatest potential to reduce unemployment in South Africa and in Africa as a whole. You realize that those small businesses employ the greatest numbers.
We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. If you missed the first segment, we were talking to Tulima Shaba and Blessed about business startup. We had so much insight information from the guests, and we're going to be looking at more aspects of that. Tuli, let me start with you. I want to know, what are the setbacks that you've encountered as an entrepreneur, as a small business? What are some of the challenges that you faced?
The biggest thing that I've had to deal with was my mindset. That's the number one thing that you need to deal with. Work on your attitude, because it's not easy out there. People think once I start a business thing, I'm just gonna flow. For instance, I did science at school. So now I'm thrown into business and I must do marketing. So you must work on your mindset and learn, get into coaching. If you don't have a tertiary qualification, it's not a train smash. There are companies that offer incubation programs, coaching programs. So get into that so that you work on your attitude. Because there's no pity in business. It's very rough. You have to develop a thick skin, and also you must have perseverance. You must have a spirit of learning, the spirit of perseverance and tenacity. And when you go out there, you must be prepared for some negative responses. Sometimes you'll find people that you want to see, they ignore you. So that's when your
attitude comes into play.
And also just focus on what you want. We have a tendency of saying, no, this person didn't greet me. That's not what you are there for. Even if they didn't greet you, just focus on what you are there for. You are focus on business. No matter the attitude or whatever, forget. I always say, even business is spiritual, because you have to forget what you see, what you hear, and how you feel. Because you cannot, for instance, let's say your first appointment at 7 o'clock, it doesn't go well. does it mean now you must go home and cry and waste the whole 8 hours thereafter? So you must have very thick skin. If you get a disappointment as your first appointment, you must be able to pick yourself up and be able to go to the next appointment and keep going over and over. No matter, I hear people saying, no, I've been there so many times already. For as long as you didn't get the right feedback, the right assistance, keep going back there and camp if it comes to that.
And Blessed, what would be your take?
Just to add on to what she has said, you know, as small businesses, we have faced quite a number of challenges. The greatest one being acceptance and earning a client's trust. You know, you need to persevere and be persistent. I remember our first big job was a new residential complex with about 85 units. We just knocked at the door and said, you know what, we want to provide a solution for you here. You know, it took about 6 months for those guys to then come back to us to say, okay, we believe in you, let's go ahead. Because when you have not worked with somebody, they need to trust you with their money. It was a project which was worth, I think, around 200,000. And for somebody to try these small boys, as it were, with their money, and they haven't seen whatever they have done before, was a bit tricky. But I would urge other upcoming entrepreneurs not to give up. Continue knocking. You know, I would send messages to say, did you receive my email last night? After 2 days, I sent you an email 3 days ago. Did you see it? You know, so you need to persevere. And also, you need to know that doing work with the passion that you have is the greatest advertisement, you know. Word of mouth is the biggest asset for any business. You know, if you work well at somebody's place, they will obviously recommend you. So as small businesses, we need to do the best and not overpromise, but deliver what you promise to deliver. Then they will market you, and that's how your business grows. Also, there is a challenge of competition. You know, the barriers to entry are very few. So anybody can venture into this business. But how is it that keeps you ahead of the competition? You know, you need to work on things like your branding. To say, how can you differentiate between business A and yourself? So you need to ensure that you're carefully branded so that consumers out there are not confused about who are we dealing with. So those are some of the challenges that we face.
So in a nutshell, Ntuli talked about mindset and staying focused. You're talking about consistency and building client trust.
Exactly.
So we're saying to small businesses, we're saying to upcoming entrepreneurs that they must have the right mindset to be able to pursue, even in the face of challenges. And we're saying that for you to gain client trust, you must be able to deliver appropriately.
Yeah, you're right. You know, having a business is a challenge on its own, you know, and never think it will be easy. You don't need to give up, because even when you fail, you know, you tender for something, you don't get it. It doesn't mean you don't have to try it again. You know, you can get rejected as many as 10 times, but your time is coming. So you should just keep pushing.
I'll come back to you, Ntuli. I would like to ask, what are some of the things that you can highlight that can help a newco gain a fair share in the global market?
Always differentiate yourself. Even if you are in construction, for instance, what makes you a preferred or what sets you apart? What sets you apart? It goes to adding value onto your product. What else are you offering? For instance, with me, everywhere I go, in all the schools where I've been providing a service, working on sanitation facilities, I identified a need. In one of the schools in Akonhoek, I built a kitchen and a water feature. In another school, I donated sports equipment That is, you build the relationships. It's not about just going there and building something and going out. You want to build a relationship with your client, So always make sure that there's something that sets you apart, add value to your product all the time. There's always something that you can add that sets you apart.
And Blessed, can you throw more light on this aspect so that our viewers can understand that there is always that need for them to do something extraordinary, something that is different from product A that can get the clients want to go with them, even though they are a new co?
Yeah, just to add on to what Tuli said, enhance the value of your product. You don't need to be greedy. Even with the little that you get, at least give something back to the society. There is that child that you can fund for their schooling. It's not a lot of money. Just buying 50 pairs of school shoes and giving them back to the market. Your name stays in their minds, and you are the first port of call whenever they need something else. So you need to have that relationship that goes beyond just the business kind of relationship with the client. Go beyond what you can do as a business to become a good social player as well.
I actually came up with a phrase in that regard. I call it purpose beyond profit.
Purpose beyond profit. Wow, that's a strong one. You're creating a whole brand on its own by saying purpose beyond profit. Meaning what we're giving back, it's not going to profit us, but it's for a purpose. It's to create that awareness and to make the client always remember that brand or that company or that business. I'll come back to you now, Blessed. What would be your closing remarks? What would you want the audience, our viewers, to take from today and run with it?
I would urge anybody who wants to start a business to say, identify who you are, know your unique selling point, and explore that, and you will eventually make it. It will not be an easy road, but with persistence and perseverance, you will definitely make it.
Today, I'll come back to you. Before we go, what would you like to give the audience?
I would like to tell them that there's a scripture that I love referring to in the book of John. It says, I have appointed you for success, or to bear a fruit and a lasting fruit, which means you are already pre-packaged for success. You are already a success. Everything that you need to be successful is already within you. And secondly, don't leave God out of your endeavors, because with your own intelligence, you can never make it. You need God to work on the people that you want to target, the people that you need. We call them destiny helpers. You need God to even place you at the right time, at the right place for that destiny helper, to meet with you so that you can take your dream forward. And also recognize your gifts. All of us have gifts. God also says a person's gift maketh room for him and places him before great men. So if you have a gift, acknowledge your gifts, tap into them. That will take you places.
Ntuli is leaving us with these great words. She says that we all are pre-packaged for success, meaning that before we were created, God already ordained us for success. So all what we need for success is within us, and we must not leave God out, because God and the God factor is the only thing that can give us success. If you'd like to share your views with us, you can contact us on successtalk@ocdmp.coza. Our Twitter handle is Success Talk with CMAA, and we also on Facebook at Success Talk. See you next week, same time, same place. It's been Success Talk with CMAA.